Hey, you made
Hi,
it.
I did.
No, dude, we've been planning this for what, like 3, 4, 5 months, I
It's
think.
been a long time in the making. I was on a long time ago. Gosh, it almost feels like yesterday, but then it also really doesn't. When was that? Yeah, maybe.
Of last year.
Yeah, you had both Ryan and I on back
Yeah,
then.
it must have been
Yeah.
last year at least. Oh,
No, it was like it was this year. It was definitely this year.
yeah, maybe it was February.
Yeah. There was snow. There was
It
snow.
was
There was
snow,
definitely snow
yeah.
on the ground still. Yeah. So yeah,
So
months
maybe
ago.
May.
Months ago.
Like,
Yeah, true. Last month, July. It was just on the 4th.
July 3rd.
Yeah.
Yeah. Around here we melt the snow with fireworks, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, what's what's the appeal of disc golf? I have
Mm,
some buddies who play.
okay.
I've never gotten out to do it myself.
Uh-huh.
I feel like I'd be bad at it,
Yeah.
so I don't try it. But maybe you got to try it to fall in love with it.
It's I grew up in the hood of Billings, so we never had the money to go actual golfing.
Okay.
Uh And so this was a close, but I we had a frisbee. So in the park that I would go and play, we would play like ultimate frisbee or we would just
Mm.
go play catch. And then one day a friend of mine was just like, "Hey, I got this like frisbee golf like Walmart like starter pack." And it was
Starter
like
pack,
it had like a
like two
driver,
nets.
a
Yeah.
mid-range, and then like a putter. Like, but they were like discs, they were frisbees. He's like, "You can basically play frisbee, but it's golf."
Okay.
And so that was the appeal, was like, I'm pretty good at frisbee.
Right.
And I like the idea of like, walking a course, throwing like a specific shot and like trying to get it in the basket in as few throws as possible. So I mean the appeal is like I already loved frisbee and there's not always an ultimate frisbee game
Mm.
like every week or multiple times a week. So it's just something I could get out and flip on a podcast and just kind of walk. Yeah.
Oh, so
So it's an
it's
excuse to definitely get outside and get some exercise. And
okay.
yeah.
It's a way to get outside,
Mhm.
enjoy views of the mountains, get some
Mhm.
fresh air.
Yeah.
Now, are you
Yeah.
doing different throws, or I mean, are you doing like hammers and like outside throws, inside
Oh
throws?
yeah,
Oh, you
yeah,
are.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because like
Oh,
the different holes require different kinds of shots, right?
okay.
Because maybe there's like tons of little trees in front of you, so it's really hard to do kind of
Yep.
like a traditional throw or something side like to the side. So you throw like a hammer, a tomahawk, or whatever, and
Right.
just to get over the obstacles. Or sometimes there's like really wooded courses where
Okay.
you have to like just throw a shot as straight as you can.
Gotcha.
Yeah, a lot of courses have everything.
Wow.
So I've played
Okay, and
courses.
you're keeping track of your
Mhm.
throws the way you keep track of your strokes in a golf.
Yep, and yeah, scoring works all the same. Like
Okay.
if you get there's a par on every hole, ideally like get it within 3 shots. And
Mm-hmm.
if you get it in two, you get a birdie. You get it in four, it's a bogey. Yeah, so it scores all the same.
Wow.
Uh, it's pretty fun. I've been doing it for like 10 years. So
Whoa.
yeah,
Okay. So you're
yeah, yeah.
doing it. You were like hipster with it, right? You were doing it before it was cool.
I don't know. It felt pretty cool when I was younger. There were lots of I grew up so in Billings there's kind of a big disc golf community. Like they would have like
Get out.
multiple weekly like leagues where like 40, 50 guys would show up. You'd have to pay like $2 to $4 to play.
Okay.
And if you shot the best score, you kept all the money. So is that and then and yeah, and there's like clubs. There's a club in Lander, the Lander Disc Golf Club. And so we meet once a week for a league event and it kind of rotates. We play in the Lander course or we go and we play at there's a course on the college CWC campus. It's actually really fun because I mean, they're really good about watering and like mowing their lawn. So the fairways are just really just a nice walk. But yeah, Landers is a little bit more. It's up by the hospital, so if you've been over there, it's just kind of sagebrush and hay. So
Okay,
it's a
gotcha.
bit more
Yeah, I
wild.
think I've seen a course over at ASI,
Uh,
right? I've definitely been mountain biking up there
mm.
and then past the baskets,
Oh, I did hear that there's a few
but
baskets out there.
maybe it's just
I've never been there though.
more of a practice range, I guess
I
I'll
think
say.
there are a few holes, but I've heard of it. Like
Okay,
I know what you're talking about. I've never thrown over there though.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
So that's what it's called. Like, hey, let's go throw.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or people say shoot. People say go play. Yeah,
Hmm.
go play around, throw around. Yeah. Yeah, it's really fun,
Yeah.
man.
See, I'm like, so all my hobbies are pretty intense. So jujitsu,
Oh
mountain
shoot.
biking,
Oh wow.
and then woodworking, which is or construction, I should say, really like building stuff. So it's like
Yeah.
all pretty intense. It's either sharp
Mhm.
blades, loud noises, or just like people trying to kill you, or
Yeah.
like mountains trying to kill you, right? And like this year, I'm just starting to get that sense of like maybe my body needs an easier hobby, right? Like maybe I
Maybe
need
go a little
something.
easy on ourselves
Exactly.
here.
Maybe I need something that's not hospital adjacent, like every
Yeah.
time you do it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Dude, I went and I mountain biked like once. It was
mhm.
out at the ASI, right? Like that out towards Sinks.
Okay. Yeah.
Is that where it's at?
ASI. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay, that's right. Okay. I went out there one time to do mountain biking, and we like rode all the way to the top, and we were riding up along the top a
Yep.
little bit, and
Yep.
then I actually I got like I started to get a migraine, and
Uh-huh.
my migraines are severe.
Right.
Like the reason I know that they are coming on is like I start going blind.
Yep.
Like my vision total like gone
Yep.
and within minutes. So, but I feel the migraine coming on and I'm at the top of the mountain and I'm like I gotta get down. We got guys, we gotta go. Cause when I start to get these migraines, it's like really, really bad.
Mm.
And so I just booked it down the mountain. Didn't fall until the very end where I passed out. Like, yeah, I fainted and then crashed the bike at the bottom. And I was with Francis and I was with Jake, and
Okay.
they carried like I came to, and I was like they were dragging me. Like
Mhm.
I came back and my arms were over their shoulders. They were pulling me into the van to
Wow.
get evacuated.
Yeah. Sure.
It was bad. I was bedridden for the next like 24 hours.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah, it's bad. But I haven't had one
migraines are
since.
super poorly understood.
I feel like they are.
Yeah. I've
Yeah.
never heard, I probably have known three people in my life who have said their migraines are so bad that like you were saying, like
Yeah.
it ends the day, like day's
Yep.
over.
Yeah.
But none of them
Mhm.
have ever said that, oh yeah, some people recover, or hey, there's this good prescription for it, or hey, there's this
Yeah.
protocol. Like all of them have said
Yeah.
there's basically nothing
Hmm.
that modern medicine has to offer.
Uh-huh.
Is that your experience as well?
No, no, mine I cured by accident. Um, so I had migraines all through high school. Like I would get one just as bad. I was on my butt for 2 days is how it
Uh-huh.
would go. The first day, yeah, the blindness, and then the second day, it was just a lot of light sensitivity, but a lot of nausea on the second day. So it was like a 2 day thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but in high school, I would get them like maybe one or two a month.
Uh-huh.
And then I went on the college's peak program.
Uh-huh.
And the backpacking portion of, so I would get these migraines. So the thing that I did to make them go away was I changed my diet. Like grow in high school, I only ate meat pretty much like Jordan Peterson's like carnivore diet. So a lot of meat, very few like starches or grains, and
Mhm.
like some vegetables, and then like raw like milk, dairy products and stuff like that. So and like eggs and things too. So I was on a pretty strict diet and that kept the migraines away. But anytime I tried something new, like had a cookie or went and got like Chipotle or something, I would get a migraine the next day. So it was very much a diet related thing for me. And then I went for the college's like high school program,
Uh-huh.
and mom like packed basically an entire cooler for my food. Like
Right.
didn't trust like the college's cafeteria. It was just like, please, it's literally just easier if I send you like we meal prep his 2 weeks of food for him,
Right.
and then just feed him that. And so that was kept in the walk-in. I got all my food, and like I would microwave all my meals, for the whole peak. And then on the backpacking portion, all that food I pre-packed as well.
Okay.
Um, but on the backpacking portion, my mom was like, "Hey, how do you guys purify your water?" And they're like, "We use betadine, but we could also use this other thing called Aquamira."
Mhm.
So mom was just like, "Just use the other thing." And So we used Aquamira to purify all my water for it was 3 nights back when I did it. Is that, I don't know what it is now, but
Yeah,
we were out
3
there for
nights, yeah.
3 nights. So 4 days. So my 4 days I was on this like Aquamira treated water. And then um that's going to be relevant because after peak, went back to finish out senior year of high school, and kind of one day I think I was at a soccer tournament or something. um I had no food, and the team, we were out of town. I think we were in Kalispell, Montana or something, and we were like, I had to eat. I like didn't eat like all day, played like 2 soccer games, and so the team was like, all right, we're going to McDonald's or whatever. And I was like, if we go to McDonald's, like I'm done. Like I'm gonna get a migraine tomorrow. But I went to McDonald's, ate like a Big Mac meal or whatever, and no migraine the next day. And then I was like, that is what? This would absolutely have sent me like into a migraine before. And so then I was like, well, maybe it was just a fluke. I went back to, my regular diet. But then another event came up. I think I was out with some friends. We went and saw a movie or something. They're like, let's go get ice cream afterwards. So I went and ate ice cream, which totally would have given me a migraine before,
Yeah.
but no migraine. And then I was just like, what the heck? And so then I started experimenting with like regular food,
Right.
food that wasn't just meat, fruits, or vegetables,
Yeah.
and then just adding more and more, no migraine and like, even when I was like on my eating mostly my diet, and, I would still get a migraine, like maybe once every other month, but I was migraine free after peak for like 8 months. And, which was wild. And so, my mom is obviously racking her brain of like, how is this happening? You're cured. Like, what? And so then she's like, Dane, are we doing? What was done different? And we were like, literally nothing except for, I guess, peak. And then I was like, I ate the food you took for me. And then she's like, what was that stuff that they had purifying your water? And I was like, it was called Aquamira. So my mom went on this like rabbit hole of doing research on Aquamira. And
Yeah.
turns out that the primary like agent in there is called chlorine dioxide, which
Uh-huh.
is it sounds dramatic, but really it's basically just like it kills parasites. So
Oh,
they use it to treat. My mom was doing, I don't know, some other research, like they used it to treat malaria patients down in Africa. They used it to treat like basically any form of parasitic illness in like third world countries, and would see very, very positive results with it. So basically, like, my mom was like, interesting. So she like conjectured that maybe my migraine was somehow parasite related.
Hmm.
And then being on this like Aquamira water for 4 days just kind of wiped them out.
Flushed them out.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. And so she did a lot more research into that. And so then we got Aquamira, and I would just purify an Nalgene of Aquamira once a month, and just never had a migraine again. Oh, until I went to school, and that was junior year,
Hmm.
and I hadn't done the like Aquamira treatment and since freshman, sophomore year of college, I just stopped.
Yep.
And then I think it just kind of came back. So now when I remember, I grab the Aquamira and
oh yeah.
fill up an Nalgene, but
Oh,
yeah. So if anyone's like ever very serious about trying to get migraines treated, I'm just like, hey, you could try this.
Can't hurt. I mean,
Yeah.
Aquamira is what, like probably $9. I mean,
Yeah,
why not?
I know, I know. It worked for me, and yeah, it was really random. But like, yeah, I don't know if you remember Trevor Lawntine.
Oh yeah.
Because he tells this story all the time. Because I had a migraine at peak. And like, so he saw me firsthand, like what I was, because I couldn't do any of the activities for 24 hours. And he was by my bedside. And then when my mom called him and was like, hey, can you tell me about that Aquamira stuff again? He's like, because Dane hasn't had a migraine for 9 months. And Trevor is like, could not believe it. He was just calls it an aqua miracle, dude. Yeah. Yeah, it was so random. And but yeah, that was my only experience out there with the ASI.
Hmm.
How we got this started. Yeah.
Right.
wow.
Yeah.
That's wild because I've had Similar, I don't think as intense migraines, but I have gotten like those flashing lights where it's like an arc.
Mm-hmm.
You go blind and then you like it feels like your head just doesn't work right.
Yeah,
I like have
dude.
pain in your spine and stuff.
Yes.
Jeez.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
The last one I had was when I had a burrito from 223. And that was 2 years ago.
Okay.
I never touched him since because it was such a bad one too. Like I was at work and
Killing us
like
all,
everything
man.
was like shutting down and I was like had to drive home, just threw myself on the couch.
Jeez, yeah.
The last one before that was that actually orations. Just kind of upsetting, but
Mhm.
Your orations?
not mine,
Oh, okay.
thankfully. But
You just wanted to attend some other people's orations, but
Mm.
I'm gonna have to try the aqua.
Yeah.
Zero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
go to
It's
the
really
outdoor,
weird. It's
right?
really
Go to the
weird.
outdoor store and spend the best $9 you've ever
Yeah.
spent.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. And maybe that's not true for everybody, but that was the only thing that was different. Like
You could really
I was eating
say,
the same food
Mm.
and then yeah, that was yeah, at the time I was just like it couldn't be anything but that because it like wasn't from lack of sleep. I was very much like an 8 hours a night kind of sleeper. Like
yeah,
wasn't changing anything about the way I worked out or anything. I was playing soccer, so I'd practice like multiple times a day. So it was
wow,
yeah, I don't know, it was just like a that was the only factor. It was crazy.
aqua
Dang.
mirror.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've heard. Have you done much into like parasite cleansing? Looking into that because
Not
I've
really.
Becky's been getting me into a little bit,
Mm.
like sharing stuff, and they've been finding that like nightmares are primarily parasite based.
Wow.
Um, like when people,
Yeah.
I've got parasites, dude.
Yeah, dude.
well, yeah, and then apparently like people that shake their legs like this all the time, that's
Huh.
a sign of parasites.
Oh, wow.
Extreme anxiety is also a sign of parasite.
Wow, yeah.
So I did a little one, just with an herbal one,
Mm-hmm.
and the thing is when you try to clear parasites, they get really mad. So they start making your system go haywire.
Oh,
So like
yeah.
I felt like a
Yeah.
roller coaster of emotions. I was like super excited, super angry, super excited, super angry for
Yeah.
like 3 days. And I kind of
Yeah,
subsided.
they call that like what, like die off or something or withdraw. It has like a
Yeah.
term, I
Yeah.
think. But yeah. Oh, that's really
Apparently
crazy.
they like to latch on to heavy metals too. So if your system's too much heavy metals, they'll just latch on there and they're really hard to get rid of. But um Jake Hart I think has done a lot on it too, so I need to ask him. But
I think yeah, you're absolutely like you're just with the things that people put in their body, put on their body, like it's yeah, you can get to it can be a lot. So yeah, doing those cleanses, I totally see how that
Mm.
be good for every once in a while, just kind of reset. Right.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have accrued a strange diet here in America, right? I mean, we have weird stuff in our food, and
Mm-hmm.
our food is weirdly old too. I mean, that's yeah, that's one thing that is remarkable about how old our food is by the time we actually eat it,
Mm.
right? I mean, this is biologically unprecedented,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I'm not saying we should be like, eating the sheep as soon as it's slaughtered,
Yeah.
right? But man, we like, isn't that the funny way of thinking about like here in America, the wealthiest nation to have ever existed, and we eat old food,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
We also eat like really complicated food.
we eat very
Like there's
complicated
like
food.
you just got like a laundry list of ingredients on
Yep.
some of this boxed and
Yeah.
packaged stuff.
Yep.
And then but then they want you to feel like you're just so high class if you just eat a steak, right? Like a steak is a pretty simple piece like thing to put in your body.
Mm.
Yeah, so it's yeah, I feel
Right,
like
isn't that
maybe
weird?
we're just a culture of just overcomplicating things.
I think that's definitely a thing we have to contend with.
Mhm.
Right. We certainly appreciate specialization in our culture,
Yeah.
right? And we see this all over, right? Um, once upon a time, even professional athletes you might find them playing more than one sport, but
Mhm.
those days are long gone. I mean,
Yeah.
Bo Jackson would never, like a guy like Bo Jackson, he would never play like two sports professionally. That just
Yeah.
isn't heard of. Whereas even recently as the 80s yeah, it still happened, even early 90s.
Yeah.
But we see that all across the board is that the specialization happens in careers, but it also happens in recreation
Mhm.
as well.
Yeah.
Right. It's an odd thing, but Yeah, we tend to tune ourselves into very narrow, very deep, very narrow channels.
Mhm.
So
Bo Jackson, he did he was football and
He was
like
football and
baseball.
baseball.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
man,
Uh-huh.
the way he played baseball, oh my gosh, he was unbelievable.
Baseball
There
seems to
is
be
a
so
time
fun.
like he like was tracking a fly ball and he was like running back towards the home run wall, like the perimeter of the field,
Yeah.
right? He gets like 2 feet from the wall, jumps onto the wall. Like, so he's running across a horizontal surface, is still tracking this baseball with his like looking over his shoulder, tracking the baseball,
Mhm.
jumps onto this vertical wall, catches the ball,
Mhm.
and then takes 2 or 3 running steps in an arc down across the wall
That's great.
and comes back onto the field having made the catch.
Wow.
It was like, oh, he is the best athlete to have ever lived. Right? Like,
That's awesome.
yeah.
That's awesome. Who wasn't like Deion Sanders also like he played like
I don't
football and baseball too
yeah,
or something
I'm
like
not
that?
sure. I'd have to check on that. That
Yeah.
sounds
Yeah.
that sounds sort of right, but I'm not
Mhm.
but I'm not
And he's like
100%
coaching
sure.
down in Colorado now.
I think so. Yeah, there's like a Netflix special or something about like him coaching the team.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was
Pretty
good.
awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, there are some people with physical gifts where you just think never in a million years would I ever get there. Right? Like
Yeah,
I could
yeah.
think about doing it,
Uh-huh.
but then you meet the people who like Bo, like I don't even know if that move would occur to me. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna catch this ball and then run across a vertical wall
Yeah.
and then like keep playing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like like I know that even if I were in that situation, I would have just slowed up, played the ball as it bounced off the wall, and then like fired it in to try to hold the guy to a double. And like that would have been a totally respectable play. But this guy went above and beyond.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Was
I
it
love sports psychology. I mean, I can't say that I love watching the games season in and season out,
yeah.
but like when they get into conversation like why Michael Jordan was just that much better than even some of his teammates like Scottie Pippen or like Charles Barkley.
Yeah.
Like if you played against a Charles Barkley or a Scottie Pippen like late in their college careers, you would have been like, this guy is unbelievable. This guy's unreal. Like you wouldn't have been able to imagine a person better than them, right?
I
And
mean
then,
LeBron, dude.
right. Yeah. And then
Are you an MJ believer or a LeBron? Is the
I'm an MJ believer, but
Uh-huh.
I mean, all right. It's not that I don't follow basketball super closely.
Oh,
My twin Matt, he'd be able to comment on this very in depth.
Ah.
But I'm also more of a '90s kid, so you kind of have that like that MJ loyalty, right?
Sure, sure,
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
No, I was watching the Olympics, like all the basketball games and stuff. I'm like,
mm.
dude, I don't like, and maybe it's just like, I don't know, it's because it's just my generation and like you're so excited, but I'm like, no other team in America's history is beating the Olympic squad that went and got gold this year. You know, like I don't care about if it was Michael Jordan in his prime. Like,
Mhm.
and like what was it? The dream team of like
Right.
92 or something like that.
96.
Or 96 or
Was it
something.
'96?
It was that
Remember?
it was that
Yeah,
90s.
it was like they lost one year and then they came back. It
Yeah,
was like the
yeah.
dream team.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then there was the Redeem team, which I think had Kobe on it.
Okay. Yeah.
Like Allen Iverson and maybe one, yeah, well, probably
Okay.
LeBron back then too. But it was crazy. Yeah, I don't know. It was the Olympics was fun
Yeah.
this year. There was, I mean, America like crushed it, which
Yeah.
was awesome.
Yeah.
All the golds, and then yeah, we won so many medals.
Uh-huh.
It's great to be an American this year.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Still on top.
Yeah.
Still number one. Yeah.
Yeah, bro.
Have you seen that comedian who man, we're gonna have to look up his name so we can
Mhm.
give him a shout out.
Mhm.
He's pretty famous. I don't know that he needs it. But he's got this great bit about the Olympics where I'll try to do it some justice, but
Mhm.
he says, like, every time I watch the Olympics, I watch with friends. And every time I watch with friends, there's always some guy in my friend group who's watching the
Mhm.
guy who comes in last, right? In like the 100-meter dash
Mhm.
and is like, ha, came in last, loser. You know what I mean? Look at that
Oh my
loser in the
God.
back.
Yeah.
It's like, we need some perspective here. This is the 10th fastest man on the planet.
Yeah.
He's like he's got this great line. He's like we need some perspective so we can understand kind of what freaks in nature these people really are.
Yeah. Dude.
He's like,
yeah.
that's why I propose that each Olympics have perspective athletes.
yeah.
Just some random yahoo from the crowd is like pulled in and you're like, all right, sir, you're gonna run in the 100-meter dash today.
Yeah.
I know you ate a corn dog, right? And your BMI is off the charts.
Yeah.
But get cracking.
Yeah. Oh my God.
People got to know.
I know. That reminds me of like, I think they do that sometimes. Well, I'm sure they do that in basketball, like go make like a 3-pointer, like a half court shot and win something. Or I think I've seen that too in like golf, like ball golf, where they'll bring like a guy like from the stands, like, yeah, make that putt, dude. Make that 40-foot putt that this touring pro didn't
Right.
make.
Uh-huh.
If you want to chirp him and stuff. Yeah, that would be awesome to have like a perspective athlete.
Right.
100-meter dash.
Do you ever notice like when they have the 100-meter sprint and stuff? You look at the cameraman. He's out running the athlete.
Oh, yeah, there is a funny video. Yeah.
They're like, wait,
Right.
what?
Right.
Give this man his coffee.
Yeah.
Give him his flowers.
Right. Yeah, the cameraman with that. Yeah, there was a great video of this cameraman with just some thunder thighs. I mean, he's just like, you look at his legs and you're like, are you sure you're actually a cameraman? Yeah, then he's just ripping. So, but no, it's like Steph Curry goes up for a 3-point shot. So he's putting a round object through a small round hoop.
Yeah, dude, yeah.
That's I don't know how many feet away.
Mhm.
And he, in order to do so, he has to outsmart and then outperform another professional who's like 6'4" or taller,
Yeah.
and in the top 1 percentile for agility, reaction time, and jumping ability.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Oh, yeah,
like Steph Curry has to do a difficult thing accurately
Mhm.
in the face of someone who is one of the most physically enabled mammals on the planet.
Yeah.
And he does it. And he does it consistently.
Yeah, and I think that was another thing people were so excited about, like with Team USA this year is because it's outside the NBA. We're rooting for America. They're like, this is what it's like to root for Steph Curry
Right.
and not have him just draining threes on your team all night. You could actually root for
Right.
him. Yeah.
Damn it. He did it again.
Yeah.
Can't touch him.
Yeah.
So-
Do you have so I know you're from back east, right?
Mm.
And so do you mostly support like what Boston teams or
Oh, so my mom's from New York.
mom's from New York?
So
okay.
we grew up in the Northeast. So we grew up in like Patriots
Mhm.
and Boston Red Sox territory.
Okay.
We rooted for the Yankees.
Wow.
And to a lesser extent, like sort of the Giants, for football.
Yeah.
That wasn't really growing up. It was like we rooted for the Yankees.
Okay, baseball team.
And
yeah,
people are
baseball, same
super
thing.
fanatical about the Red Sox in our area.
Okay.
So there were some nights, I think I was still in high school though. So it wasn't like I was out on the town or anything when the Red Sox won in 2004 and then in 2007. Right. But like in the college town right next to where I live, like
Mhm.
Burlington, Vermont, like the nights they won, you did not want to be wearing Yankees gear.
Yeah.
Right.
Be lynched.
Yeah, like a bunch of drunk college students celebrating the end of the curse.
Yeah. Holy.
There was that one time, what year was this? I think it was 04. The Yankees and the Red Sox were playing for the pennant, right? So they were playing for the American League Championships, and it's a best of 7. And so the Yankees were up 3-0. They opened 3 games in a row and won all 3. And they were just looking to finish them off. And the Red Sox came back and won 4 games
the next
in a
4.
row
Oh,
and
dude.
clinched the pennant.
Dang.
It had never been done before, ever.
That's
in-
because you
in
just got to win
baseball.
one game. You just got to win one.
All the Yankees had to do was just eke out 1 game, and
Mhm.
they just fumbled it at the finish line.
Wow, dude.
Yeah. But who people were really excited. So they were excited about the Red Sox.
Uh-huh.
But I actually think I was sort of lucky to be able to see this. I was around like during the prime Brady and Belichick years.
Yeah.
And to be in the part of the country that were just, it
Mhm.
was Patriots territory.
Oh yeah.
Just be around that excitement.
Mhm.
There was one Super Bowl night. I can't remember the year. I think they played the Rams. I think they beat the Rams. Um, and you could hear people like from like a quarter mile away, like shaking the house. You know what I mean? They were just screaming.
My
They were
God.
so excited that Brady and Belichick had
Mhm.
brought home. It was like their second ring or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, people are so into it, and it was fun just to be just adjacent to that level of energy
Yeah.
around that level of talent,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah, because this is when Brady was starting to like just absolutely dominate season after season.
Yeah. Do you
Um,
think he could come back, dude? Do you think he could come out of retirement and still perform at the
how old is he
highest
now?
level?
46?
I have no idea.
I think he's 46.
So,
Yeah, 40,
yeah.
46 or 47.
Uh-huh.
Um, as a total non-expert, I think he could come back and take a generally talented team
Mhm.
to a winning season.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if he's got another playoff season
okay.
in him,
Okay.
which is
Yeah.
which is fine. Like
Yeah,
he's 40.
is he just enjoying retirement now? Like if you're
I
Brady,
don't know.
like what do you do with life right now?
You're so intense. You're
Yeah.
so intense. Like that's
Yeah.
how you've been that
Oh,
good
I
that long,
know. I know.
right?
He's so disciplined.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Look at like
yeah.
Kurt, not Kurt Schilling, he was baseball, but
Mhm.
like Kurt Warner,
Mhm.
and Ben Roethlisberger, and even Eli Manning. Like those guys were retiring between 36 and 38, I think.
Yeah.
And Brady is winning his a championship at 42 or
Yeah,
43,
whatever that was, yeah.
right? So 5 years after other top guys have hung it up for good,
Mhm.
he is the best. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
yeah.
Not even the
Oh,
best quarterback. His team wins
Mhm.
wins it all.
Yeah.
5 years after everyone else has been like, yeah, I got my 2 rings. I'm done.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's amazing.
But so I just don't know where you put that focus
I
after
just thought he
after
would have gone
sports.
like immediately like into like being an analyst or being a coach even maybe, but I don't know anything. I never played football, so it's
Uh-huh.
like I feel like yeah, just being a quarterback coach, I imagine you'd have a specific
Right.
quarterback
Offense.
coach
Yeah.
for
And
it.
like an offensive line. Yeah.
Mhm.
Offensive line
Mhm.
coach. Yeah.
Or you've just I mean with 7 rings and tons and tons of money, you could just
Uh-huh.
kick back,
Mhm.
enjoy life. And yeah,
I just don't know if he's capable. I don't know.
yeah.
Can he really do that? Can he really enjoy being
Yeah.
not in the fight? In the
Mhm.
fight,
Mhm.
right?
Well, how often do you meet a person who's like, when they're fresh into retirement, they're just loving it, you know?
All
I feel like
right.
so often I meet retirees and they're just kind of like, I don't know what to do with
Yeah.
my life now. You
Right.
know, like they just can't imagine a life without work.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You run into that a lot in your
Mm-hmm.
line of work because you're
Yeah.
dealing with
Yeah,
people getting
dude.
close to retirement all the time, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
Or having just retired. Yeah.
yeah, having just retired or people planning on retiring in the next few years. And I'm just like, what's that gonna look like, man? What are you excited about? Like, I have no idea. I haven't enjoyed a hobby. I don't know. Like, I mean, maybe it's just a personality difference. Maybe I'm just like a dreamer, but I'm just
Mhm.
like, I'd be playing disc golf every
Mhm.
day of
Mhm.
retirement,
Mhm.
or like I'd be in the gym every day, like at a fun time, like 2 o'clock where like no one's there, like it's,
Right.
and so,
Right.
yeah,
Right. Forget getting up at 4 a.m. to go to the gym. Like,
yeah,
I go to the gym.
yeah,
It's like
yeah,
after mimosas and omelets.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Dang.
But no, I don't know, but I think that's you remember leisure, the basis of culture.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
many people they're just trained, I think, from society and from societal pressures to feel like you have to be producing something to be
Uh-huh.
valuable,
Mhm.
and that is life, right? And
Yep.
what's his great critique is like we're actually supposed to be working so we don't have to
Mm-hmm.
work later. You enjoy time resting. So
Right. Right.
yeah, maybe that's
And it's
I find
maybe
that.
productive in the sense that you're becoming better, or you're just enjoying the good things that life offers, right? And there doesn't have to be this. Oh, I read. We were talking with Dr. Cooper about Homer last week. It was just a joy to talk to a man who's an expert in a subject and in love with the subject.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, oh, we have to get something out of this. It was, I mean, we
Yeah.
did, but it was just enjoyable just to be there with him
Yeah.
because he enjoys something so deeply
Mhm.
and so knowledgeably. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think we live in a society that wants to dehumanize people, right? And
Mhm.
if leisure is supposed to build a person up,
Uh-huh.
then you should then naturally society would guilt trip you for being leisurely.
Yeah.
So
Right.
so I think that's what I think that's a huge adjustment for these guys that are trying to retire, where it's
Mm.
just like, no, they've been dealing their entire careers with the fact that, oh, you work because that's the American thing to do.
Mhm.
And not working is awful and
Mhm.
you're worthless. So yeah, it's just
Right.
they've had this.
Right. You've been spending 40 years thinking if I don't work, someone will come and take it all away from me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Mhm.
Right. And I think also, and there is work has a dignity and work has a satisfaction because you are useful to somebody.
Yeah.
Right. And you're helpful. And
Mhm.
that is rewarding as well.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, dude.
What do you feel? So you work helping people find right insurance products for what they need.
Yeah.
I read somewhere that insurance is more about selling somebody peace of mind than
Mhm.
it is about any particular coverage.
Yeah.
You subscribe to that? Is that a little too trite in your mind?
I think I like that. I think so what I do and what the Knights of Columbus was created to do. Um, I mean, we get to boast that we're the only financial institution started by a beatified Catholic priest, which is,
Okay.
I think,
Yeah.
which is amazing. And we're a premier company. So 140 years ago, like Blessed McGivney looked around at I mean, in the late 1800s, Catholics were greatly persecuted back east. Like they could only get really crappy factory jobs, mortality rates were high.
Ah.
And like, so there were a lot of widows and orphans that would show up to Blessed McGivney's parish. And he's like, I can only help so much. There's got to be a better way. So he kind of just went in to the life insurance business to like just become an agent. Like there's got to be a company I could start or I could become an agent. I got to figure this out. And then he found that there already existed a structure. It's called like a lodge structure for a fraternal benefit society. The Elks Lodge was doing this, Lions, Rotary Club, Freemasons. Like basically, if you had a group of men that subscribed to a set of rules and had kind of a clubhouse that they could provide benefits to each other. He's like, that's great. We can just do that for a church.
Ah.
It's already very much in line with the Christian values. So he got some men in his parish to say, look, if something happens to say Jonathan here, then Tom, you and we can use some of our resources to help make sure that his widow and orphans are taken care of. How does that sound? And then likewise for you, your family could be looked after. And you go, actually, yeah, that's great. Let's do that. And so that's kind of how it got started out like 140 plus years ago. And then fast forward to today, we're a Fortune 1000 company as a nonprofit.
Mm.
Like imagine for a second an insurance company that has no interest looking good in the stock market or on the NASDAQ,
Yeah.
but actually has every desire to have premium dollars for life insurance. Just go back to Catholic families, go to religious retirement funds,
Mm.
go to Catholic relief,
Mhm.
right? Like the money you put in for your life insurance is actually being used and staying Catholic or
Uh-huh.
staying in line with your values. So
Okay.
that's so what I'm doing. So going back to the peace of mind aspect, I mean, there's so much. Like when I sit down with a family and you've got maybe mom and dad both work, right? So they have like, and it's just an example, like these are recent clients I had. Mom and dad both work. They have 4 kids. They have a house with a huge mortgage. They both went to college. They're both doctors, so they have a ton of student loans, right? And so they're basically, you're used to spending money a certain way. I mean, you work in real estate.
Mm.
Families have this kind of understanding these habits of money.
Oh yeah.
And when you
The
have
monthly budget.
yeah, the monthly budget. And if you have two income earners, then you're spending money based on having two incomes. And now one gets hit by a bus or something gets like terminally ill or something happens and now you have to take a 50% pay cut and you had never learned how to budget for that because this is so all of a sudden.
Yeah.
That's why life insurance, that's where the peace of mind comes in, because it's like, well, actually, I sit down with Dane, we go over our financial plan, and then we say, but what if something were to happen? Can, I mean, an image I use is if I have 60 seconds to live and I want to write a check that would make my wife's problems go away forever, I
Mhm.
couldn't write that check, but Knights of Columbus could,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so
Mhm.
that's what it is let Knights of Columbus write that check tax free
Yeah.
to your spouse so
Right.
that she's okay, or he's okay. So that's I think, to speak to that peace of mind aspect,
Mhm.
is like, look, we're living on like 100 grand of income,
Mhm.
right? Like we make 100 grand, we still have 200 grand left on our mortgage, and I have 50,000 in student loans. She has 20,000 in student loans, but I have group life insurance from work, and
Right.
and I'm like, and I'll ask him how much that is. It's never been more than like 3 years' salary.
Uh-huh.
So I'm like, oh, so it's 3 years' salary. So your wife has 3 years before what? And then he goes, I don't know. I'm like, she has to find a job, right? And then he's like, you have a 2-year-old and a 1-year-old. So how old are they in 3 years? They're like, I guess 5, and 2, 3. And then he's like, yeah. So now your wife has to, one, get a job, two, find childcare.
Mm.
Is childcare cheap? And they're like,
God, no.
no, right? So all of these things I cook into these plans for families where it's just like, and like, but to speak to it being a sale, it's kind of just like, look, let's create this laundry list of things that are your reality if something were to happen.
Uh-huh.
And then you tell me if that doesn't make sense or if that's just too expensive for your budget. Because at the end of the day, with these families, like, I'm meeting with brother knights,
Mm.
right? So
Mhm.
we're a brotherhood. He's Catholic, I'm Catholic. I'm praying for him. I'm hoping I see this family in heaven someday.
Yeah.
And my career path is following in the footsteps of a beatified Catholic priest, right? Because this is what he was doing for the parishioners of his church 140 plus years ago.
Mhm.
So I'm like, I can't screw this family over. That's just unconscionable for me,
Mm.
right? So I'm just like, here's how I come to this, here's put this much for income replacement. Let's get the house mortgage involved in here. Let's wipe away all debt.
Mhm.
Get all this like college fund for the kids, like get all of this in there. It's going to cost this. And I go, all right, let's do it. Right. And now they have a plan. Right. So yeah, it's pretty awesome. And it doesn't feel like work because I
Mhm.
mean, I meet with 5, 10 families a week.
Well, that's
That's all
nice.
I'm doing.
Yeah.
I was like, show me where you're at. Let's do like a needs analysis here.
Mhm.
And then I'll come back next week. I'll show you some ideas. If you like one of them, all right, let's get an application in place. Let's get this plan in place.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's really, really, it doesn't feel like work, man, because it's sitting with families and helping them get into a better financial position. That's all that the Knights was created to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you have to, is it sometimes a bit of a struggle to get that first conversation? Like people kind of
Yeah.
know they should, but man, it's going to cost us money and
Mhm.
we have to think about maybe all of our financial habits, some of which I are maybe not super comfortable with, right? So
Sure.
is that
Yeah.
the toughest thing is like getting to the kitchen table the first time
Oh,
to say
yeah.
like, let's
Yeah.
open up your life.
Yeah. Let's take a look under the hood is what I
Yeah.
the image I use. And yeah, definitely getting the appointment is the hardest part.
Okay.
It's because people don't return my calls or
Yeah.
people tell me to go kick rocks when I've got them on the phone, like, hey, we should meet. Let's chat next week. And
Right.
I'm like, I don't need life insurance. A lot of the time I just tell them, cool, I don't want to sell you any. Like, we
Mm.
just need to do a review because that's not the only thing that the Knights of Columbus does.
Uh-huh.
Do a lot of retirement strategy, do a lot of like long-term disability,
Yeah.
and then like long-term care as well. So for a lot of my older clients, that are like thinking ahead to the times when they really are slowing down, like they'll need a nurse to come visit them or they'll have to check into a nursing home. Those aren't cheap either, right? And so Knights of Columbus wants to put you in a good financial position of getting you some long-term care coverage as well,
Uh-huh.
right? Like leverage some dollars here, spend a little bit in premium while you're healthy, while you have your health,
Mm.
so that when you actually do need a nurse to come change your diaper or help you put clothes on, or you need to actually check into a real facility, let Knights of Columbus spend that money for you, right? Like it's, yeah.
That's not stuff that's fun to think about.
No, it's not. It's really not. Yeah, and I've met with those families too, where they're like, actually, yeah, it happens very often where I'll sit down with a family and I'll be like, so what is the plan if one of you dies,
Mm,
before you're ready? They're like, we have never thought about that. And I go, cool, that's what I do. So
Yeah.
we can have that conversation now, or I can let you guys have that conversation between the two of you. I could come back next week and you can
Right.
kind of let me know what you're thinking. It is crazy. Yeah. But it's so interesting because we're not called to do that. Memento mori is a real, like, we're supposed to live like we're ready to die.
Mhm.
Like, what's that from City of God? Augustine calls us to be sojourners on this earth. And so if you're not ready to go to the city of God today, then
Right.
what are you actually doing?
Right. What's between you and being ready? Right.
Yeah.
Why are you not ready?
Mhm.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
What is the number one financial mistake or number one bad habit that you see come up again and again? Is it credit card debt? Is it people love getting that new car every 2 years?
Yeah,
The-
yeah. Oh, geez. Yeah. Debt is just it's such a hard thing, man. Yeah, I think credit card debt is really hard. Um, oh gosh. Yeah, I guess I sound like Dave Ramsey when I say that, yeah, I don't like really any debt.
Uh-huh.
It's yeah, auto loans, student loans, yeah, just a credit card on like medical bills.
Mhm.
Yeah, but I don't think that's no, because sometimes I mean, yeah, sometimes that's just bad habit, but other times it's like some folks just didn't. I thought you were supposed to just buy new cars with, credit, you get an auto loan.
Oh, really?
It's-
That's how you buy a car.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, right. Like, so I don't know. Um, I think my big pet peeve with a person's spending habits is like built into their lifestyle is eating out, basically, like going to restaurants, getting fast food, getting like a frozen pizza. I think that'll just, I feel like that'll nickel and dime you away, because it's like, you don't have to go out to eat, man. You could just cook your own burger. You don't
Mhm.
actually have to go to McDonald's to get one, and
Mhm.
it's so much cheaper if you make it yourself.
Mhm.
And it's so much more. Yeah. So I think when I'm trying to show them a plan and we're going over kind of how they budget, then they're just like, yeah, and we love to get Sunday brunch at Middle Fork every Sunday. And I'm just like, holy cow, dude.
Right.
And I'm just like, the plan I'm showing you, if you just did that one less Sunday a month, you could afford this life insurance plan I'm showing you. Or just like the plan I'm showing you is 2 less cases of beer a month than what you're already doing. So I think when it comes to food, I think food is
Interesting.
my big bad habit thing.
Okay. All right. Right. High dollars per calorie. Right.
Yeah.
Right. No, I mean, it's like if you go to the Middle Fork, well, hold on. Shout out to the Middle Fork. It's a great
Amazing.
restaurant.
I love the
If
Middle
you
Fork.
come to Lander, go
Mhm.
out to the Middle Fork.
If any restaurant deserves a Michelin
Yeah,
star.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to the Fork. So some other random restaurant, let's
Mhm.
say, I don't know, McDonald's.
No.
But like, yeah, I think if you calculated what you're spending versus the calories that you're getting,
Mhm.
right? If you went and got, burger meat or just like, heck, just water, eggs, flour, and milk and made pancakes, like just,
Mhm.
yeah, the price per calorie would be so much less.
Yeah,
No,
man. Yeah.
no.
And it's so fleeting because it's like you spend the $10 at McDonald's and then it's just gone.
Yeah.
And I mean, I kill my McDonald's in like 60 seconds.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember a buddy of mine, and I thought he was really insightful about this.
Mhm.
It's not so much fast food, going through the drive-through or whatever, but but there's even an element of it there. But he said what he thought you were really buying when you went out to a restaurant was you just get to be a king for 90 minutes, right? You
Mhm.
get there, You know, someone brings you over to a table, they pull the chair out for you, you're sitting in real, someone comes up to you basically every 10 minutes and asks you if you want anything,
Mhm.
right? Is there anything else I can get you? What else do you need? How is
Yeah.
everything tasting?
Yeah.
We don't get like, we go home and we've got kids screaming, dogs barking, and we're trying to make some
Yeah.
food at the stove. You
Yeah.
know, our
Yeah.
kid isn't coming up to us and be like, hey, Papa, is there anything else you need? You know, like,
No, yes, that's true. There is something to that. And I love going out to eat, but the peeve comes in when it's like, no, that is a necessity of life for us
oh,
that
okay.
we go to Sunday brunch, every Sunday, or we get DiGiorno's every Saturday night. I'm just like, that has to be built into the budget sort of thing. As like an obstacle of like, look, I can show you this plan that is going to put your family in a better financial spot. And we're having this conversation of like, but I don't know, that's gonna eat into our middle fork budget. And I'm just, okay, all right, man, yeah.
It
You
will.
might have to make some sacrifices for the good of your family,
Mhm. Hmm.
But so yeah, but that's, I don't know, and there's other things like I'll show people plans and they're just not into it for whatever reason. But so there's a lot of rejection. I'm sure you deal with this too. And like in real estate, it's like lots of rejection. That's okay. It's
Hmm.
nothing personal. That was kind of a hard lesson for me to learn in sales. Like
Hmm.
kind of early in my career was just like, I feel like I took it personally every time.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's so hard.
Yeah.
The wisest thing I ever heard about sales was someone said to me, said, Jonathan, learn to have a thick skin and a short memory.
Mhm. Oh yeah.
And now, 10 years later, I can say I have one of those things. Who was it that said that? No.
Don't remember his name.
Yeah, exactly. No, 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 no. I do. I do. Shout out to Paul Jackson.
Uh,
Yeah, doing good work over there at Thomas More. So yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he had some wise stuff to say.
Mhm.
Um,
Was that, because you worked at Thomas More
in
in
admissions.
admissions.
So it was the same thing. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
just you're going to people. Hey, think
Yeah.
about college. Are you thinking about college? You're thinking about the next steps. I mean, it was an 18-year-old version of the same question. Are you
Yeah.
thinking about the future? And are you
Mhm.
making a plan?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
some people say, yes, I am making a plan, and it doesn't involve you. So get that.
Go kick some rocks.
So go kick some rocks,
Yeah.
or yeah, I haven't made it. This was more common with the boys. Is
Mhm.
yeah, I'm not making a plan.
Mhm.
So what are you doing? I don't know, man. Not making a plan. I'll tell you that. You know, like,
What I'm not doing.
right. I know what I'm not doing. Maybe I'll take a gap year. Oh, really? You're gonna like go to Budapest and do an exchange? No, no. I'll just work. Really? Where? I don't know. Like,
Wow.
I was like, dude, do you know? Yeah.
Nothing. I'm doing nothing.
Yeah. No, it's funny. We would joke with the other admissions counselors. It all started because I was always trying to figure out like when people told you no, what's the why, right? Did we miss something in our sales pitch?
Yeah.
Did the school itself not have a feature that they were looking for?
Mhm.
So I had this file in my drawer filled with all the letters and notes that people sent us, like, hey, I've decided not to come. I've decided to take a gap year, whatever it was.
Yeah.
So I had this drawer full of letters and emails that I would print off. And so someone had to throw something in my drawer one time and they found the file and I had labeled it rejection letters. And it was fat, dude. You know what I mean? And they looked
Biggest
at
folder we had.
exactly. And they're like, Jonathan, are you okay? And I said, yeah. Like, what's the problem? Like, are these from women? And I was like, well, like some of them are. They're like, are you bisexual? And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? They're like, the rejection. Oh, I was like, no, 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 no.
Rejection letters.
Rejection letters.
Oh my
So,
god.
but no, that started a joke where you're recruiting for a small Catholic college.
Yeah.
It was obviously a very a personable level of recruitment. You meet
Yeah.
people at coffee shops, you're talking to their parents, right? It was very personal.
Yeah.
So we would joke it was like having 100 dating relationships in a single year, right? Like
yeah.
you're just like going and meeting their parents, and then like you're going out for coffee, and then maybe later you like come back and they invite you to meet their family. You know what I mean? It felt like a relationship. And then they would write you a letter and be like, well, I just want to say at the outset that it's not you, it's me, you know? And you're like, oh, here we go. Or they'd be like, I've decided to focus on my career. And so I'm not going to go to a liberal arts program.
Right.
Right. Or they'd
Yeah,
be like,
yeah.
I've met someone else and they're going to ASU. So I'm going there as well.
Yeah. That's,
man.
oh man, dude,
Yeah.
that's so true. The like, it is a relationship. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure with real estate and back with admissions, like some of your best prospects are just the ones that you can just talk to
Mhm.
the easiest, right? And
Yeah.
yeah, so that was, yeah, same with what I do too.
Mm.
Like my best clients are the ones that, and I would call them friends.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
You just sort of hit it off.
So how did you so you were at admissions with the college. How did you go from admissions at the college to real estate?
Oh, for me, it was because I love architecture.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I don't know if you noticed when you pass my coffee table, but it's
Mhm.
books about historical bungalows. It's books about urban design. It's books about
Right.
renovation. So I love building. I love architecture. I love making great spaces.
Yeah.
So I love looking at houses. So that's sort of the baseline.
Okay.
But I was really lucky because I bought my house with the guy who's my current broker, and he was just an amazing agent.
Okay.
And I mean, in all honesty, real estate, I think we're rated like third least trusted profession. Like, you know what I mean? Everyone's like, oh, real estate agents, they'll do anything to get a deal or whatever.
Yeah.
But what his name is Sky. He's my broker now, but at the time he was just acting as an agent for me.
Yeah.
He just never put on the pressure. Right. So we looked at house after house and he was super patient. And I mean, I looked at dozens of houses and he always just knew that at some point I would sell myself the house. Right. I would walk in and be like, yeah, this will work. And then he would help that happen and guide me through the process. And that just really impressed me because if you're working on commission, it's like you want those sales, you want them to happen, you want to collect your money, and to have 6 months to give to someone or a year to give to someone without putting pressure on them ever. I was like, that is impressive. So that's sort of what made me think, okay, these two things could be combined into one career.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Any skills that you picked up from the admissions days that you feel invaluable now for what you're doing?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. With admissions, I mean, all but Harvard, Princeton, Brown, the Ivy League, a few elite colleges out on the West Coast. Most colleges have like a 70 to 90% acceptance rate, right? So most people are trying to get you, the customer, to say yes.
Yeah.
Again, Princeton, Harvard, Yale, they're saying yes to you. It's a reverse thing. But anyway, most admissions offices, you're trying to recruit.
Yeah.
You're trying to get them to say yes.
Mhm.
And in real estate, you're not trying to force the yes. Again, you're finding them the property that they can say yes to. They sell themselves.
Right. Yeah.
But what skills do really transfer is the follow-up, right? Because with admissions into a college, you're calling people back. You're calling people back.
Yeah.
You're getting back in touch with them.
Yeah.
Same thing with real estate is you're just checking in. Hey, interest rates went down. Just FYI. Hey, this
Mhm.
property came up. It might fit your needs. Want to go take a look at it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this spring I sold a house to someone. We had been looking at stuff for 18 months.
Wow.
I sold something to someone else. We had been looking for at least a year. Someone else, it wasn't 2 years, but it was getting close to 2 years.
Holy cow.
Right. And or like sometimes you call someone, you haven't heard from them in 6 months. And then that afternoon, you're showing them 3 houses.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
So it's like, that's, I think, one of the things that really separates
Mm.
the people who find some satisfaction and fulfillment and success.
Yeah.
Because you keep coming back. You never assume the answer is no forever.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
so that really transferred. And then like what we were talking about, that like thick skin, short memory. Some people are just going to tell you to go to hell, and you gotta just You're like, yep, okay, on to the next. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. That was probably the hardest lesson was that. Yeah, just go GG, go next.
Right. Yeah.
Like, all right. Yeah. And that's awesome, man. So it's were you because you left the college when? Do you remember when? Was it
I left Wyoming, May of 2022.
22?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
Nice, man. What
Yes.
was it? So from May from 2022, when did you sell your first house?
Ooh, golly. I think it was probably like 2 months, and again, it was because my broker was sort of like, all right, here, we're gonna put you in on the process that's sort of
Yeah.
already happening with these folks so
Okay.
that you can get your feet wet. And that
Sure.
doesn't happen for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was another reason that the brokerage I joined was really good, is because they say, hey, this deal's sort of already happening.
Uh-huh.
We're gonna give you some of the work, we're gonna give you some of the payout, you're gonna get your feet wet, you're gonna learn some of the inner process of this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a brokerage that really is able to onboard people in a really successful way, which again, I was lucky. Not everyone gets that.
Yeah.
Some people just get handed like a phone and a desk and told, good luck.
Start calling, man.
Yeah, go
calling.
drum up some business.
Yeah.
Where? Yeah, I don't know.
Somebody wants to buy a house.
All
you
right.
better
Yeah,
ask.
right. Who do you know who wants to buy houses? I
Yeah.
was hoping you could tell me.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
gosh, I had a question. Oh yeah, why is it always a good time to buy? I feel like you've probably heard the joke about real estate agents are always telling you it's a
It's
good
a good
time
time to buy.
Is it?
Yeah.
And my theory is because if interest rates are down, then you can get a pretty sweet mortgage, so that's a
Right.
good time to buy.
Yep.
If interest rates are high, then that means prices of houses are down,
Yep.
and that means it's a good time to buy.
Yep.
Is that kind of what you tell people, or
Um,
is it a little bit more complicated than that?
I could definitely dress that up a bit. However, there's a great South Park episode that makes fun of real estate. Have you seen
I
it?
haven't, I
Oh,
haven't seen
dude,
this.
after the episode, I'll have to show you guys some highlights.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's
Mhm.
great. I mean, they just skewer the industry in such an accurate way. It's great. It's great. I love some of those South Park episodes. But anyway,
It's a great.
yeah. So what do you say when interest rates are down, you
Mhm.
can lock in a mortgage for um and lock in a payment that's
Yeah.
relatively manageable.
Yeah.
If prices drop a bit
Mhm.
because interest rates are high, that probably won't entirely counteract the effect of those high mortgage rates. Right?
Sure.
So if like a house that might sell for 260 because of low interest rates are high, so maybe you can get 215. You go and buy it for 215, but if your interest rate is 9% instead of 5%,
What they're paying.
you ain't saving money
No, you're
just because you got that house for 215.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
what I will say though is that if you're a family looking for a house, usually you're looking for a reason, and it's a good time to buy in the sense that you need a place to live today, right?
Sure. Okay.
So that would be one justification that I have for it. Another thing that I might say is if you're investing, as long as you can invest in something, um, you are locking in money at its current value today,
Yeah.
which inflation is going to eat away at
Yeah.
the value of your individual dollar.
Yeah.
So your land or your property most likely will appreciate. I mean, some very small, very isolated markets have died and died long term, like Detroit. But
Sure.
generally speaking, most markets appreciate.
Yeah.
So you can say like, yeah, like everyone has a story of their parents or grandparents who didn't buy an investment property
Mhm.
that today is worth $1 million because they didn't want to spend like 64th K back in like 1972.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's worth $1 million. So that's another thing, is like it is an investment vehicle.
Mhm.
Even if it's not your primary, dwelling,
Yeah.
real estate can be an investment. So in that sense, if you hold on to it long term, most likely you will do well.
Mhm.
What I will say though, it's not always a good time to sell, right?
Okay.
So sometimes people they lose a job, they have a change in circumstance.
Mhm.
Sometimes we tell people like, yeah, I'll sell your house because if I sell your house, I'll get a commission. But
Yeah.
like just this spring, like this family asked me to come over, do a valuation of their property. And they said, like, should we rent, like make it a rental? Should we sell it, take
Mhm.
out the equity?
Yeah.
And I basically told them, hey, I'll sell this for if you want. But I really think it's in your financial best interest not to. Like, I really think that given the specifics of your house, the specifics of what it could make as a rental income, you're going to do better long term that way than taking your
Okay.
equity out by selling it now.
Wow. Yeah.
So I don't always think there's a good time to sell, or it's
Yeah.
not always a good time to sell.
Yeah.
But I think again, if people are hear you say that, so they know you're not just looking for more sales, that does
Right.
help. That does help in the long run
Okay.
because they know that you're looking out for their best interest.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing, I'll stop after this, but the other thing that sometimes people will say is, "Oh, hey, I'm waiting for interest rates to go back down." The question that you should ask them is, "Well, how much?"
Mhm.
Right? Like, if interest rates are at 6% and you're waiting for them to go back to 3, that may never happen. Or if it does happen, it may not be for 15 years.
Okay.
There's a reason you need a house today.
Yeah.
So if you're going to wait till they go back down to 3%, you're going to rent, you might rent for the next 15 years.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And renting usually only makes sense as a relatively short-term life choice. If it's a long-term life choice, probably something's not working quite right.
Mhm.
Um, that doesn't mean you have to buy a house. I mean, you could buy a condo or a townhome or something. That doesn't mean you have to buy a house on its own lot.
Yeah.
But sometimes people wait thinking that prices are going to drop so dramatically or interest rates are going to drop so dramatically.
Yeah.
And the fact is that dramatic is by definition relatively rare. Fortunately. I
Oh.
mean, that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, that would be nuts.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, no,
yeah.
I hear that. I hear that.
So,
That's
uh,
same situation with like, yeah, like you're saying, the short-term rental, because I mean, you're kind of kicking the can down the road a little bit,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, you need a house,
Right. And that might be
Yeah.
perfectly appropriate to
Uh-huh.
kick the can down the road.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like they are expecting there to be a significant interest rate drop in September.
Yeah.
So you might actually tell someone at the very least, don't lock your interest rate right now. Wait to see if there is, say, a 0.5% interest rate
Mhm.
by the drop by the end of September. That might genuinely happen. That's a small window. That's probably worth waiting for.
Mhm.
Waiting 3 years while your kids grow up and you're spending 1,500 a month on money you will never
Yeah.
get back because you're
Yeah.
renting.
Yeah.
So
I know that's tough. I say the same thing with my clients because I'm like, you could buy term, but
mhm,
then that is just money you're giving to Knights of Columbus on the hope that you don't die in
right.
20 years, right?
Mhm,
And if that's a 20-year-old or like a young family, I'm
yeah.
just like, you're probably gonna be alive 20 years from now.
Yeah.
And,
Right.
so
That is what we all want.
yeah, yeah. Versus like getting something like cash value life insurance where
Mm,
this is actually an asset that does appreciate and
mhm.
you'll make your money back. Yeah, in this thing. So it's crazy. Yeah. No, it's the renting versus I want to buy a house. Not right now though. I'm in crippling amounts of debt. Yeah, so we'll get there. We'll get there.
You'll get there, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll call you up soon.
Perfect.
Again, right?
I'll
Because
be
I
here.
almost bought a house from you
That's
last
true. We were
before
close. We were close, but no, that job wasn't
Yeah.
working out.
No, dude.
So I'm
No.
glad
Mhm.
you're
For the
always
viewers at home, dude,
Yeah.
do not work at Burger King. Don't run a Burger
Right.
King. It was that was crazy. It was I don't know if we can say that though. Can we tag Burger King? They'll come.
They're not one of our sponsors.
Yeah.
You can say what we want. Yeah.
You could also just blur it out. If need be, if for copyright reasons or something. I don't know. I don't know the trademark rules.
Right.
I think
But
the
yeah.
only thing we have to say is it's not financial advice.
Okay, yeah.
Oh,
This is not financial advice.
isn't
This is
financial
just
advice.
Speculation.
nothing
Yeah.
what we've said here today is
All
financial
speculation.
advice.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Even including not working at Burger King.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Tom, how is Lifeline going, man?
Pretty good, actually. We're getting more businesses on. I got like 5 last week or so.
Nice. Yes, dude.
So, and then right now I'm working with a couple of guys so they can start selling through Lifeline.
Mhm.
So One's a EMF protection clothing, and then another one is a just mom and dad making like cool t-shirts.
Yeah,
Some pretty
nice.
funny stuff. So getting that rolling.
Mhm.
Yeah, just trying to grow count. Oh, actually, I've been waiting for it to come and I have to check the order, but we became affiliates with this company called Freedom 2O. It's a water company that just
Okay.
it's pretty much just like a joke. It's just like they sell water and it's just like, speak your First Amendment, say the truth. So everything about it is like literally just it's just water, but it's
Yeah.
about being as patriotic as you can be.
Yes, the
That's great.
patriotic water, the
Patriotic
American
water,
water.
yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
That's awesome.
So
Mayflower water,
yeah,
yeah.
pretty much.
Uh-huh.
Right.
So
Right,
yeah.
the water that you're drinking, the
Mhm.
Mayflower sailed on, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, there's a small chance.
Probably.
Yeah.
One of the molecules in here.
Yeah.
It's from the same ocean.
Right, right, exactly.
Mayflower came
They're
from it.
related. They're related.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. The water in your bottle is identical.
Dude,
to the
that
water
was-
the Mayflower. Hold on.
That's like the I did horsemanship class at Wyoming Catholic, and they were like, "Yo, this horse is like the mom of like the horse they used in Lord of the Rings to play." Well, I don't even know the
Right,
horse.
like
Shadowfax. Is
Yeah,
that
yeah,
the name
yeah,
of that horse?
yeah.
I was like, "Cool, this horse still sucks and won't listen to me when I say go, when I say giddy up."
Oh,
Gandalf
right.
must have had a touch.
Dude, I kid you not. We were getting tested at like this horsemanship class, and you saddle up the horse, make sure everything looks good. Teach comes over and like takes a look over everything, says everything's good. Then I get on the horse and my cinch strap is undone, dude. And so when I say giddy up and the horse starts going, the saddle flips underneath, dude.
No.
Dude, like my teacher definitely sabotaged my saddle. There's no way. Like, because I was like, it looked good. I tightened it. Everything looked good. I gave it the saddle a shake.
right.
And then teacher comes over, does whatever. And then I get on like 2 seconds later, and like the cinch strap,
Like,
is
whoa.
undone, and I just like flipped underneath.
Wow.
I'm getting drugged like
Yeah.
that scene in the second Lord of the Rings movie where Aragorn's like butts in the stirrup. It's great, dude. It was crazy.
Wow. It's because you were not thoroughly impressed by the Shadowfax trivia.
Yeah.
You were like,
I know.
wow.
I don't even. I think she was supposed to be Shadowfax's sister or maybe mom. I don't
Right,
remember
right.
what that was, but
Right.
I don't know.
Right. This horse was a sister of the horse that was in the movie. Books are better than the movie.
Yeah. 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 Right.
Yeah.
Oh man, dude. Do you have an instance of like when a movie was definitely better than the book?
Man, I think Contact with Jodie Foster.
Contact with Jodie Foster.
Yeah,
What's that about? Is that aliens?
It's aliens. Yeah.
Dang, dude.
Yeah. I mean, I think the book's good. I genuinely like the book.
Mhm.
It's Carl Sagan, I think.
Mhm.
But I think the movie is just great.
Yeah.
What about you?
Hmm. I think Ready Player One was
never
a
saw it.
really good movie, and I think maybe better than the book. I mean, the book is also really great.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I don't know.
That was a fun movie.
It was.
Just
Yeah,
like
I think it's
every-
underrated a little bit. I don't think.
Oh, the critics panned it.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
I think it was like literally every kid's favorite dream because you got to see
Yeah,
all of your
man.
video games in a movie.
Yeah, yeah, that was really
That was
cool.
just so cool.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was just a fun story, really awesome story.
I
It
think
was
like
good.
the last battle, you see all the movie cameos, like game
Yeah.
cameos. You're like, oh
Uh-huh.
my gosh,
Yeah.
Tom Brady, it's
That's
him.
Master Chief.
That's
That's
Master
Master
Chief.
Chief.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
Iron Giant.
Uh-huh.
King Kong.
Iron
Yeah.
Giants in there too. Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys, you much of a gamer, Jonathan?
Oh man, I really was not allowed to play that many games growing
Really?
up.
Okay,
Yeah, my parents were
okay.
pretty strict about it.
Mm.
They did let us play Age of Empires.
Oh,
So to
nice.
this, so like when my brothers come and visit,
Mhm.
we'll what is it? Is it LAN? We'll LAN all our
that's what I'm
computers
saying,
together.
Yeah.
We'll play Age of Empires. Age of Empires 2.
That's awesome.
And man, you know how like younger siblings are often a lot better at stuff than you are?
Uh-huh.
Like my brother,
Oh.
It's on. Do you play AoE?
I've played Dawn of War. Like I've done like MOBA games, like top
Okay.
down, yeah,
Yeah.
strategy games.
I cannot believe like how like we'll like end the game and like he'll win,
Mhm.
but then like you'll
Yeah.
look at all the stats and it's like military, like player number 8. You're like, that's my brother. Like economy, player number 8. That's
Oh.
also my brother. Like
Getting
trade
everything.
profit, player number 8. You know, like,
Oh my God.
like I suck. It's like I'll be like, did I win in any
Did I
category?
do anything right?
But like they'll put a star next to the player that leads in every category, even if it's categories you don't want to lead in, like units lost or like
Oh, yeah.
buildings destroyed, you know, by enemy fire. It'll be like player 4. I'm like
No.
player 4.
That's basically worst player ever.
Exactly. And like, you know, and they have the AI players, you know, the computers. Like you'll look at the computer player stats and like some of those AI players, some of them will go to the end of the game, but some of them will just kind of like randomly like quit mid game.
Oh, wow.
They'll still be ahead of me. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like,
He hasn't
right.
been in for the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Like Cedric the Hun quit the game 2 hours ago, still beats me like on economy, military,
Oh my
and
God.
built a wonder right before he went out.
No.
No, so I was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're there for the good time. Yeah.
It's good there for the good
With
time.
your
And also
brothers.
it's like it was like for me and my family, we were kind of breaking the ground. So like,
Mhm.
hey dad, like can we play Age of Empires? All right, you can play for half an hour.
Yeah.
And like at the end of half an hour, you know, my dad was like still in his early 40s. He had the energy, like,
Oh.
all right, like get off, you know.
Yep, you're done
Like
now.
my younger brother, like 10 years later,
Uh-huh.
like
Just not even getting parented.
like exactly. You know what I mean? He'd play till like he would play till like 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
Like my parents have been asleep for 8 hours.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah. Oh my
you know, and he's just like cruising through, learning skills,
Yeah.
just beating the AIs
Oh,
every
yeah.
which way. So it was
Mhm.
just like it was that time in.
Yeah.
He just got so much
Oh,
more
yeah.
time.
Yeah, you got the hours.
Even though we introduced him to it.
Mhm.
So like we were
Wow.
better at him for like a year.
Uh-huh.
Then we all went off to school or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, lived life. Lived life.
Yeah. I
Nice.
remember a buddy of mine, Rob Halleck. Did you know Rob?
I don't think no.
Okay. He was like a class or two below me. And he was saying that was his experience with Halo. Like when Halo was big, you know, these
Yeah.
first person shooter games.
Yeah.
It's like you're
yeah.
smoking your younger brother, but it's like you're 12, he's 10, he's
Mhm.
learning it that much earlier. He's got
Yep.
that many more years to practice. Like you
Mhm.
go off to college for a semester, you come back, be like, all right, like I'll beat him again. He's just like,
And kids goaded now.
yeah, exactly. He's just like fragging you
Yeah.
10
dude.
seconds into the
Oh,
game.
gosh.
Right.
Yeah. No, I totally get that.
So you have younger siblings, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Where are
I,
you and your family?
sorry?
Where are you in the like,
I'm the oldest.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm the
okay.
oldest of 11. And I think how did it go? Definitely like I was the most hardcore gamer of the family. Maybe next to my dad, because my dad was a gamer.
Oh,
He
your dad
would
plays.
Yeah, how I got started, my start was dad would play Halo after we all quote unquote went to bed.
Mm.
But then I would get up out of bed and dad would be on his Xbox playing Halo 1 and I would just sit next to him and watch. Like I'd
Mhm.
watch him play and then it was awesome. And then eventually someday dad was like, "Do you want to try?" And he was like, "Yeah." And he like hands me the controller. It was and then so yeah, and then yeah, so Halo was definitely my start in video games.
Wow.
And then yeah, and then from there it went to like Call of Duty. And
Call of
Call of
Duty.
Duty Modern Warfare 3. I played some of Modern Warfare 2, but not really.
Okay.
And then Black Ops and Black Ops 2. And then yeah, from there it's mostly been shooter games is kind of what I
Okay.
play. Yeah.
Dude, they're
Yeah.
fun.
It's
They're
and like I still play today, like but on my computer because before it was just on consoles and stuff, but now I'm on PC
Mhm.
and I mean my day to day is so busy and like I have a wife and children, so I
Right.
actually don't play video games if any of them are awake. Like,
Uh-huh.
I have to sacrifice my own sleep
Right,
to
right.
play
Yeah.
video games. And
It's a cruel
so
choice.
yeah, it is, but it happens. And but yeah, no, I love
What do
it.
you
Yeah.
think of all the professional leagues that are
Oh,
coming out? I mean, this
mhm.
is mostly a feature of the last 10 years, I think.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely like esports and stuff like
Yeah, just
that.
like
Like
huge
yeah,
tournaments
there's like
over.
pro Halo, pro Call of Duty, the CDL. I love it all. I watch all of
You
it.
watch it.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
And that's
I
where
am.
most of those guys
Mhm.
make most of their money is their game
Tournament
footage.
winnings and like yeah, some of them have like a YouTube presence or they stream and make money that way, or
Mhm.
they have sponsorships. They make money that way as well. Yeah, dude, I watch yeah, I watch a lot of gaming content on YouTube
Okay.
and on Twitch. Yeah.
I've got a buddy who's into Apex right now. And
Oh, that's
he
a
just
great game.
loves the I guess the variability. There's so much you can do. There's so many ways
Yeah.
that the
Mm,
character modifies the game, the map modifies the gameplay, the
mhm,
players you're with modify it. And he's basically what he's told me is that it's a very rich experience, right? So there's so much that can vary.
mhm.
He's like, dude, you want to try it? It's like, no, like don't even let me.
I
I'll
d-
be addicted.
yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
What's the uh, like what do you think is the appeal for people watching the footage? Is it
Mhm.
like they want to learn how to do that or they just want to see something amazing?
I think it's yeah, I think they want to see something amazing. I think it's
Okay.
similar to why folks enjoy watching football or basketball or really any sport. It's like they they like the sport and they know what it would take to be great at that sport, and so
Mm.
to watch that unfold before them is yeah, this really cool experience. And so it's
To see
it,
someone actually do
yeah,
what
what it
maybe
would
you've imagined.
what being great at this thing is. Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's yeah, same thing with gaming. It's just like I know what it takes to be really good at Halo,
Uh-huh.
and these guys are doing it. Like, and it's yeah. So that's yeah. I think that's kind of the what people get out of it. And
Mhm.
then there's like a personality aspect too, because
Hmm.
if you're just playing a video game and you're streaming, there's a camera on you, you're
Mm-hmm.
talking about something, then you can kind of be it's like, wow, this person's really great at this game, but then they have like this personality, they're like genuine or so there's
Oh,
that
okay.
too.
I
Whereas
didn't
like
know about this. All
yeah,
right.
yeah, you can kind of have a personality, like a presence.
Uh-huh.
I think that's why so many streamers they're like really famous too. Um, is there's like what the streamer's playing or doing, but
Mhm.
also I just like that person for who they are, you know.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like following your favorites. It is following your favorite celebrity.
Sure. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
They're doing something that you really admire and you also like the sort of energy that they bring to the thing
Mm.
itself, the way you might like a pop star or
Yeah,
anybody else.
yeah, because they do that in like in disc golf too. There's the Professional Disc Golf Association. There's a
Mm.
Disc Golf Pro Tour. So I
Oh.
watch a lot. Actually, the World Championships is happening this week. The
Oh.
first, it's 4 rounds of 4 days of disc golf. So, and then they're gonna crown a world champion on Sunday. So,
Whoa.
yeah.
Where is this taking place? Like
It's happening.
Vegas or
It's happening in Virginia and I think Lynchburg, Virginia.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's but it moves. So I think 2 or 3 years ago it was over in Utah. It was in
Right.
Salt Lake City. They have a couple of world class disc golf courses over there that they played the world championships, and then it's been in Lynchburg, Virginia over there. It's been back east. There's a really famous disc golf course called Smuggler's Notch. And
In Vermont?
yeah.
Yeah.
Those are-
Smugs.
Yeah.
I grew up like 30 minutes from
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's like actually on my bucket list of courses I want to play before I
Mm.
die because it looks so cool.
Mm.
And then but I've only really played courses in like Montana and Wyoming. I think I played a couple in Colorado. But yeah. No, so the world championships were
Smugs is beautiful. Go in the fall.
okay, yeah.
It's a
Oh my gosh,
great.
all the trees are
Oh
turned
yeah.
up, dude. That's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know where the course is, but I imagine it's near the ski mountain and it's just a beautiful spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially if you go in the fall when all the trees are changing.
I
It's
think I remember, yeah, there's like a tournament there and they used a lot of like the ski spot, like parking for
Mhm.
a lot of these
Yeah.
guys getting in. But yeah.
No, if you ever go, like my parents, like I said, are just half an hour from there and they got this big guest suite. So they could just, yeah, you could even go with your family and they'd be like, yeah, just come and stay with us for a long weekend and
Dude, I would, yeah.
play Smugs and
Yeah.
enjoy
Uh-huh.
enjoy all that of really classic New England fall has to offer. And it really is quite beautiful.
Mhm.
Yeah, it doesn't disappoint.
Nice, man.
How are we doing on time?
You're at about an hour and a half.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, we're doing good. We're doing good.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Dane, I've been really curious. You mentioned that you grew up on a reservation or the reservation here in Fremont County for.
So yeah, I grew up, um, I wouldn't say I grew up on the res, but I definitely lived there for a time. And
Okay.
it's the one, it's the Crow Reservation in like south of Billings, Montana, west of Hardin, Montana. Yeah.
Okay. So you're Crow yourself?
Yes, I'm
Okay.
50% Crow Indian.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What so and then you also did some volunteer work on the reservation here.
I did. Yeah.
All through college, is that right?
Starting my sophomore year into senior year before the pandemic.
Right.
Yeah. So it was so yeah, like 3 years pretty much.
Yeah.
And it was Sunday school, basically.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So on Sundays,
Oh.
on Sundays we'd all load up into a 12-passenger van, like a few like students,
Uh-huh.
and then we'd go to mass. The van would be parked outside of Holy Rosary.
Mhm.
We'd all hop in the van, drive out to St. Stephen's,
Yep.
and there was all kinds of grades. Like there was like K through like first grade, just
Mhm.
like color in like pictures of saints and stuff.
Sure.
And then there were sacramental classes. I taught first communion class, and then another year I taught a confirmation class.
Yep.
And then but yeah, it was like pretty much just like 40 minutes, just
Mhm.
like read through like the Baltimore Catechism
Okay.
with, yeah,
Yeah.
with the class. It was really awesome.
So I work in Riverton, so
Yeah.
obviously that's surrounded by reservation
Yeah.
territory on
Uh-huh.
about three sides.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of talk about the problems on the res,
Yeah.
but there's also like there's so little contact between the two populations.
Mhm.
It's really quite remarkable how people can be living right next to each other and yet sort of be insulated
Just so such
from each other.
strangers. Yeah.
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 What I mean, from what you've seen and what you've experienced in your own life, I mean,
Mhm.
is the reservation system uh, sort of a problematic system to begin with, or do you think it's like no, these these
Mhm.
in these particular groups of people need their own space? Like, what do
Mhm.
you see as the problems, the challenges, or maybe even the advantages of our current system?
In my personal opinion, I think that the res systems, yeah, they fail. I think they're a
Okay.
bad system, and I think that we should do away with all reservations.
Whoa.
I think what an awesome opportunity that would present is because I think you could keep all of the like everything that the US government feels that they owe natives,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like the education benefits, the healthcare benefits, the um like tribal membership affiliation like programs, because like you can earn like money per capita, if you're a native or something like as a tribal land like earns such and such money. I think you can keep all of that, but just eliminate just reservation space.
Mm-hmm.
That will, I don't know, in a perfect world, I feel like that would just force the native people to kind of create their own community in
Okay.
a sense. So like you would have like little Chinatown or little Koreatown, you would have like Native American town or
Mm-hmm.
whatever within a city, right? Because right now it's like you could have a city, but then you have Res Town way over here where
Right.
nobody ever goes,
Yeah. Like,
right? But if you got rid of reses, then that all becomes unincorporated. It goes up for grabs. People can buy it off and turn it into privatized space.
mm-hmm.
And then that would mean that like the natives would have to go where the community is
Mm-hmm.
within the city, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you have the native culture right there in the city, then there, I feel like there would be more points of contact, right? There
Yes.
would be, yeah. And I think, I don't even know, you could, in my own personal opinion, and again, it's so limited. I lived on the res from when I was like 5. No, I was well, yeah, actually for a couple of years from like 5 to 7,
Mm-hmm.
and then from when I was like 8 to 14.
Okay.
Yeah, and would go to a mission. I grew up like being an altar boy at like a mission church where and like it was really cool actually. So we the priest that ran the mission, he translated, like he has a written form of the Crow language,
Uh-huh.
and he translated all of scripture into the Crow language as well. Especially, and he would read the gospel in Crow at the mass and then in English, which I thought was so cool because
Mhm.
there were so many natives that would go to mass.
That was probably part of the
They-
reason is they
yeah,
felt like
it's like,
he was a
yeah,
bridge builder.
yeah, he was. He really, really was. So, but I think that, yeah, I think that the reservations with what they're doing right now, kind of, I think they kind of enable the sort of cultural depression that I think exists amongst Native American people. And so if you were to get rid of the res, then that
Uh-huh.
would force the natives to kind of make a life for themselves. Um,
Huh.
if and maybe even the money also, because pretty much a Native American gets paid to just be native if they're and a lot of no, I'm not saying this isn't true. This is probably not true for every tribe, but at least my tribe, I get like a quarterly like check
Mm-hmm.
from the tribe
Mm-hmm.
for it's called a per cap check. And I don't know, the way I've always understood is I'm just getting paid to be an Indian. I don't
Right.
know. And then um but
And
then
it would
so like you
presumably
could
be
but there's
more if
there
you were more than 50%. Like, is it sort of
I
like
don't know if
based
it's
on
yeah, I don't know if it's based
how
on
much?
blood, but there are other benefits too. Because I know that there are tons of just growing up. I knew there were Indians that didn't have a job; they could just live off of what they were getting from the government and from the tribe.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just like, so if you stop that, because again, going back to Peeper, I feel like if all these natives had to go to work, right, then they would be fulfilled in that way, like like kind of that humanizing faction of doing something. Like
Yeah.
right now, you could do
Contributing.
nothing and like live, right?
Uh-huh.
And so now they're just kind of living off of the money they're getting from Uncle Sam and from the tribe
Okay.
on this space that they don't really have to pay for, like the res, right? And yeah, and then they just kind of live with their problems. I think there's something to being constantly reminded of the crap that's in your life that almost makes that crap worse, right? Like you
Oh,
kind of in your own mind have a habit of negativity. I don't really know what that is, but it's like, but if like the natives who are on the res are just constantly being reminded that they're on a res now and not on their own land,
mhm.
that can't be like that can't be good.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know. But again, my opinion, but
Mhm.
it's no, it's yeah, I think if you got rid of the reservations, then there wouldn't be this reminder of like, yeah, and this is all you have left
And
now
right.
from what
And
used to
someone
be
else put
everything.
you here.
Yeah,
You never chose
exactly.
it for yourself.
Uh-huh.
It was chosen for you.
And here's some money, because your life sucked and what happened to you was awful,
Right.
right? And I mean, no doubt what happened was awful, right?
Mhm.
But I think you can just it didn't happen to me.
Yeah.
It happened to like my great 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 grandfather. So
Uh-huh.
it's yeah.
What's the ben hmm, how do I want to phrase my question? It seems to me that there must be one reason why it doesn't all just fall apart in, say, the course of 10 years. You know what I mean? Like
Mm,
there must be something that sort of works because people still put up with it, if that makes sense.
mm-hmm.
Like maybe it's not the best, but like just uh, someone might say, "Hey, your habit of going to the bar every night is really destroying your life." And they
Mm-hmm.
might be like, "Well, that's where my friends are. That's where my social network is. That's where I have fun. Like, I can't give this all up. My life will be terrible." I mean, so is there maybe a sense of community that happens
Yeah.
that you don't get out in wider society? Is there a
Yeah.
way in which the family still has an interconnectedness that we don't have typically in other parts of American culture? Like
Yeah.
what are people gaining?
Mhm. I think that there's this really, really good, well, there's a couple of really good books. There's one called Radical Hope, and it was written by a philosophy professor at the University of Chicago, where he went and actually interviewed um like and like uh tribe members, like Crow tribe, basically, about how crappy it was like being moved onto a reservation and
Yeah.
things like that, and cultural. He deals with like really good questions of like cultural devastation, and he basically uses an Aristotelian understanding of like having a why, like, because in the metaphysics you kind of have to have a reason why, you live, right? And so for the natives, their why was the land and the buffalo, right? Like that was for my tribe anyway, and our history is so rich with, yes, we had the best land around. Like the Crow tribe had like 90% of the land around the Yellowstone River,
Uh-huh.
over to the, as it connected to the Missouri River. So the Crow were like, they were the tribe to like beat, because everyone else was just like kind of on the plains.
Yeah.
But the Crow had the really green, the rich land, the land where like lots of game and life spent around the river.
Right.
And so
They had made it.
they'd made it. Yeah, yeah,
They were
yeah.
in paradise.
And so it was, so yes, it's very much the ancestry and the love and the sentiment is tied up with the very land that they're on.
Mhm.
And so I think that's why the res still exists, is because sort of within the history of these people, it is right there. They're walking on the ground that their great, 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 great ancestors were walking on too. And
So
so,
the Crow were able to stay in an area that was relatively close to their historical
mhm,
territory.
yeah,
That's not true
yeah.
of every tribe.
No, and I think it's not true of most tribes, I would
Mhm.
say. I think the Crow were fairly cooperative with the US government when treaties would come around, when, marshals or like, yeah, so because there's another book about Chief Plentycoo, where Chief Plentycoo had basically he basically had like a prophetic dream where he saw that the white man would keep expanding into the west, and that there was just nothing that the tribes could really do except like cooperate in the best that they could. And so the reward that Plentycoo got was, no, actually, the Crow can have their res be one of the biggest reservations in the lower 48, and
Uh-huh.
actually on the land where their ancestors hunted.
Okay.
So because they actually cooperated, a lot of tribes were super aggressive, uncooperative, had no desire to work with the US government, were therefore punished by being put on reservations in land that they weren't familiar with the tribe that they would often go to war with.
Yeah.
Because that's what, like, yeah, that was the hope, was that the US government would put two warring tribes together on the same res, hoping that one would kill the other one off.
Right.
And
Or at the
that's,
very least,
yeah,
they would never unite and fight
yeah,
against
yeah,
federal forces. So
yeah,
yeah, we might have to
yeah.
manage the bar, but the they're never going to turn on the bartender.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So I
Which
think,
is kind of darkly clever. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah, dude, yeah,
they weren't
yeah.
dumb.
No, no. And I think that's what my Chief Plentycoo saw too, is he's like, no, these are smart people, and if we work with them, we could be friends with them, and yeah, it could be mutually beneficial. So
Mm,
yeah, I think the Crow tribe kind of lucked out a little bit because um they were cooperative.
right.
And there's some really good books. The Crow tribe is one. Radical Hope is another good one. Um, there's a couple of biographies of Chief Plentycoo that I think are really good. So yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, my personal opinion. I mean, long story short, like, just get rid of the res, and that I think will encourage the culture, because I mean, so many tribes are still alive and well and have great and rich cultures,
Mhm.
but they're way over here, outside of town,
They're sequestered.
they're sequestered.
Uh,
Just bring that in, and like, yeah, just bring that into the city,
Mhm.
and they can't help but honor you,
Mhm.
because, oh, if you're over there doing your thing, they can forget about you.
Yeah.
But
Very
if you're
true.
doing your thing within the greater community, I think they can't help but notice. Yeah.
Well, and I feel like too, especially with the way America is, we love embracing other cultures so much.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's just like, yeah, we'll have fun with you. Like Italians, love them. You know,
Yeah,
Irish
yeah,
people, we'll put up bars. You know, it's like
yeah.
whatever. You know, and
Uh,
so you find these pockets. I feel like people would love to be able to.
yeah, but yeah, and then somehow natives were just the exception for
Yeah.
some reason. So,
Like,
because you're right, you have Little Italy, you know, you have little Irish communities or like, yeah, Italian, Asian cultures,
Mm.
but then
Greek
yeah,
culture too.
the natives, the very people that were here, they can be over there, you
Mhm.
know.
yeah.
I think there's something wrong with that,
Mm.
yeah, systemically.
Most
Mhm.
people I talk to about the res, they're like, yeah, we don't really want. We all feel so bad for the situation there. It's
Yeah,
like we want to help,
Mm.
yeah,
but we've almost been. It's almost illegal for us to help. There's
Mhm.
like there's nothing really we can do.
yeah,
It's their
yeah,
own set of laws and
yeah.
outside of our
Hmm.
jurisdiction and everything. So
I
it's like
There's a
know.
pretty
Yeah.
thick bureaucratic layer
yeah,
It would be, yeah, it would
between
be,
our jurisdiction and their jurisdiction, right? I mean, you have the BIA out there, you have the FBI out there,
yeah.
and then of course you have tribal authorities, right? But
Yeah, it would
yeah.
be really hard practically. So,
Mm.
yeah, because like you don't like you want to think of Native Americans as Americans, but
yeah.
you don't instinctively when you see one think, oh, he's a fellow American.
Hmm.
There's
Definitely not.
there's
No,
like that
it's this weird.
weird
Yeah,
Yeah.
separation.
Yep. 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 Yep.
it's
Like
a
we were
weird.
here first, and somehow now we're like this defeated. Yeah.
Second
It's
class citizen
second class
almost.
citizen somehow. Yeah. Because, well, and this isn't true across the country, but I know like growing up, like the having the tribe, having the tribal center, like having a sovereign, they're almost thought of as sovereign nations. The like, well, yeah, and even the like they'll have like festivity. It's like a festival of nations or something like that. It's like
Mhm.
where it's basically the tribe, like the Native American tribe is its own kind of micro nation
Mhm.
within America. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think that adds doesn't help the like that sentiment of like, oh, they are like kind of second class citizens.
Right. But there is also some of that language of being a nation within this bigger nation, right? Which is odd, right? No one
Yeah.
goes to Little Italy in Boston or New York and says, "Well, I guess now I have to abide by a new set of laws,"
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Or they go into an Irish pub and they're
Right,
like,
yeah. Mhm.
"Well,
And there might be like fun
there
traditions,
might be
but
fun
uh,
traditions, but no one thinks they're in an entirely different jurisdiction."
yeah. Oh yeah.
But on the res, you actually are legally in an entirely separate jurisdiction,
Hmm.
right? I guess the Italian neighborhoods with mafia control might be a bit of a gray area, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh,
Hmm.
no, it's odd. I mean, I did some like you when I was in college. I did some of the outreach events, but it was limited. It was mostly like playing with kids who
Yeah.
didn't have anyone else to spend time with them.
Sure. Sure.
So it was very limited contact, and then through real estate, you actually do have a fair bit of contact.
Mhm.
Um, and then so just some of the stories, some of these uh, Shoshone and Arapaho folks around here have been telling me. It's just, I mean, it just blows me away. Like there was this guy saying like, oh yeah, like if 5 or 6 Arapaho, get released from jail on the same day, they don't release one at 8 and one at 10 and one at 1. Like they release them all together so that they can protect each other on their way back home. Right. And it's the same thing in the other way around. Like if you've got Shoshone, it's like, no, they're all gonna like we're gonna make sure they leave as a group. So again, for that mutual protection. It's like stuff that you hear
Yeah.
about it and you're like, this is like a mile from where like I gas up my car that this is happening, right? This isn't in a third world country,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's these weird things where you do sometimes think that, man, are we living in this parallel society? And in some ways, the answer is yes. In a way, that's not true. That even if you go to Chinatown, like, yeah, you don't share all those cultural elements,
Hmm.
but you don't feel like you're in a parallel universe in some sense. Um, yeah, I do feel as if the native population, in some ways, it's like it's like America's forgotten people,
Yeah.
which is a real shame. But I do think it's true to some degree.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's It's hard. I think, and if there's a book I can recommend to you, it's read Radical Hope, because I
Radical
had
Hope. Okay.
awesome conversations with Dr. Glenn and with Dr. Papadopoulos about that book. They
Okay.
both love it. And
Yeah.
yeah, and so and yeah, and just having, because the way that he brings like Aristotle, so much of like what we learned at WCC to bear on the question of, but in an ideal culture, you kind of have this like shared values, shared desire for the good. And then what happens when that thing, the object of that, your land and your reason for living, the hunting of the buffalo, the
Mm.
culture of like, because like tribes would like go to war with each other, but it was almost like it was like a game. Like it was like a way of like proving greatness, like
Uh-huh.
similar to like the Iliad, right? Where it's just like, you are a great person if you have like awesome like war stories and you have won a lot of battles, right? And
Mhm.
so now the US government has taken all of that away. It has moved you from your native land. It has stopped you from being able to have feats of greatness on the battlefield against other tribes that also desire that.
Right.
And then it has also killed off all the buffalo, right? So what do you do with a culture of people where everything that they've ever valued is gone? So it
Whoa.
is such a cool book. It's
Okay.
a cool, cool
So it's
book.
not like, yeah, right, the buffalo was more than just the food supply. It was where you
Oh
proved
yeah.
yourself as a man. It
Yeah,
was
it was
how
a
you
coming of
provided.
age thing. It was like how you went from being a child in the tribe
Yep.
to now a man who can go on hunting expeditions and fight in battle too. Yeah,
Wow.
it's crazy, crazy. It's like, I mean, oh, like just to think back, like if you remember reading the Iliad and the Odyssey, like
Mhm.
it's just like, imagine like Odysseus being told he couldn't actually set out on that
Right.
voyage, right?
Right.
Like they just burned the boat down in front
Yeah.
of him.
You're gonna stay here and sew.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, or not even stay here. You're gonna go move to
Right.
a
Right.
different
You're right.
island.
You're gonna move. Right. You're actually moving to Troy.
Yeah,
But you're gonna be a farmer.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
You're gonna grow lentils.
Yeah,
Son of
yeah,
a-
right. It's so it's just like, yeah, he's just like, so, and then part of that book, he's just like, you can't help but be depressed because
Mhm.
your very way of life that you've only ever known now, you can't even communicate that to your children
Right.
except but the sadness of what was lost.
Right.
Right. And
Right.
now you have this, and to bring it back to the question of like my opinion that why the res needs to go away. Now you have this constant reminder of that will seemingly never go away and will
Right.
always be communicated to your
Right.
children.
In a weird way, you
Uh-huh.
can't, right. And you can't even buy a house where you live because it's
Mhm.
all, right. It's
Yeah.
all held land. So you just get assigned a house. Like, here's a house.
Uh-huh.
Well, that might feel good momentarily, but you can never earn yourself a place to
Mhm.
be because you're just, there's no land to buy. Right.
Yeah.
You'd have to leave your family and your everything. You'd have to go miles and miles and miles away just to earn something for yourself.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen those pictures of I really hope I don't misquote this,
Mm.
but I do think it is some crow warriors. But they're about to go to the beaches at Normandy on D-Day. So they're in US Army uniforms, but right before they're getting on the landing ships, they put on all the traditional war paint. It's the wildest
Oh,
pictures. I
I
gotta
feel
try
like
to
I
find
have seen a picture
Yeah.
like that. It is badass.
Yeah, yeah,
Dude.
yeah.
It
You
is.
see these like, yeah, and they're like in just
Oh, there's a really amazing man. We just named a school after him, Joe Medicine Crow.
mm,
We named a school after him in Billings, but so he completed all of the all of the feats of a great like Native American warrior as a World War II soldier. So he stole an enemy's horse. He like scalped an enemy. He like did all he like basically was doing side quests while fighting World War II. It's like Native American like
right, right.
and
You have to take out that battery over there.
yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
but I'm gonna go get a horse,
Yeah.
and then I'll
Yeah. 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 And there's like this really in one of like Chief Leniku's memoirs, just like because he had to go through all of these too, and he was like, yeah, you have to go to a warring tribe and steal one of their horses. It's one of the things, and so that was what this guy Joe Medicine Crow did. Is he basically did all of the great feats of what it takes to be a great native warrior while he
Mhm.
was fighting World War II. It was really cool.
Awesome.
That's great.
He wrote a book, um, I think just called The Crow Tribe or something like that. And I have it on my bookshelf somewhere. It's but yeah, no, it's I mean, and like those are awesome stories that everyone should know,
Uh-huh.
but they can't because they're over there.
Yeah.
You know, and like they're
This memory hole thing
yeah,
going on.
I know. And like the oral tradition, like that shouldn't just be specific to the natives. Like share that with every American, you know, because it's yeah. I think there's just such a deep and rich, amazing culture and within every tribe that just shouldn't be sequestered to the res. I think bring them home.
Yeah.
You know? So
Oh, well, speaking of rounding things out, yeah, man, thanks so much for coming on. This has been awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, thank you guys for having me.
Can't
I
wait to do
love
it again.
coming on the podcast every single time. It's been great.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to have you back soon.
Mhm.
But in the meantime, maybe before the end of the summer, you're gonna have to introduce me and Tom to the disc golf. See,
Sounds like a
see if we
blast.
get,
Yeah.
see if we've got some athletic talent. Since we're not gonna be on the dream team,
Yeah.
maybe this is a sport we can handle.
Yeah.
I believe you said we were gonna walk everywhere, so
Yeah.
right. So there's no running, you know.
There's no running. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, dude, we'll do it.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank
Cheers.
you guys. Thank you guys.
Thank you, Dane.